My name's Peter. I'm the Executive Director, and we are very proud today to be opening up the new exhibits that we have here in Salem's and Oregon's oldest standing wooden structure, the Lee House. To do so, I want to first hand it over to the President of the Board of Directors of the Willamette Heritage Center, the Mill, Ross Stout.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here to join us today. When we merged and became the Willamette Heritage Center, we created a new mission and focus for the museum. We've endeavored to tell a more complete and we hope a more insightful story of our community. This story will be spread throughout these 3 historic homes. This larger project called Preserving Our Heritage, Telling Our Story looks at the heritage of Salem and the Mid-Willamette Valley. Combined, this will be the largest exhibit ever that the Willamette Heritage Center has ever attempted. We started this quest here at the Lee House. As Peter said, the Lee House is the Oregon's oldest standing wooden structure and is part of the original Methodist mission that was moved here from Mission Bottoms to Chemeketa Prairie in 1841. So it's fitting that we started this project with this building. Presented here is the story of our community roots and how it started as a mission station for the local Kalapuya Native peoples. We will tell the story of who was here and why. Who did they work with? How did the mission system spread? What challenges did they face and why did they disband? And then what remained, including the creation of the settlement and the community which became the city of Salem. This story and others will be expanded upon in future exhibits in the Parsonage and the Boone House. But for now, we're here at the Lee House, and the Board of Directors of the Willamette Heritage Center is honored to present our community the story of how it came to be with the dedication today of the new Lee House exhibit.
And now we've spared no expense and dug up from the Lee Cemetery Jason Lee himself. Don't stand too close, he smells. Jason Lee, as presented by our volunteer Dick Holmbaum.
Thank you. Yes, this was my house. And there are so many stories that I could tell that went on within these walls. But as we grow older, memories do fade. So today, I will rely upon the published remembrances of my companion and fellow worker, Reverend Hines, who described one journey we took through this region from our mission station at Mission Bottom. Traveling 10 miles to the south at noon, we reached the place where the city of Salem now stands, then known by the Indian name of Chemeketa. Here, the Oregon Mission had broken ground preparatory to the erection of a saw and grist mill. And here, it was in contemplation to establish the Mission Manual Labor School. The extensive and fertile water privilege, the extensive and fertile plains around it, the enchanting nature of its scenery, and the fine water privilege afforded by the beautiful rivulet meandering through it, rendered it, in our judgment, a place of great future importance. Surveying this beautiful locality and indulging in many conjectures in regard to the probable time that would have to lapse before its then silent and broad area would become the theater of a busy life and a flourishing city with its din and noise occupying the fields but a now solitude by which we are surrounded. We proceeded on our course through a country beautifully diversified, with rising grounds varying from the gentle undulation to the majestic hill and fertile valleys variegated with here and there with a grove of yellow and white oak trees, and now and then a stately fir which had braved the fury of 1,000 storms. The landscape has changed a bit, but more communities are now making memories here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And excuse the radio interruption there. And now this exhibit was curated, put together, and almost all the credit for this exhibit needs to go to our museum director and curator, Kenny Sturgeon. I'd like to invite her up for a few more words.
Thank you everyone for coming today. I'll keep this pretty brief. When you go in, you will see this is a very different look for the Willamette Heritage Center in these houses. And I really wanted to put something in here that told a story even when we didn't have our wonderful volunteers here to interpret for people. Originally our houses are designed to have volunteers in them sharing stories, but on the days when they're not here, as you've probably noticed, it's a lot of furnishings without many words at all. So trying to put information for people when we can't be here is what we were aiming for in this house. I do need to thank a couple of very specific people, Tracy Stroud and Megan Green, who did the design work on the panels you'll see in there. I've got to thank Sean O'Hara and his entire facility staff here at the mill, but specifically two people, David Birch, who is up here with me, who is just fantastic at his job in putting exhibits together, and Steve Kramer, who is over here, who worked as our contract carpenter for everything you're going to see in here. So a big thanks goes out to them. I hope you enjoy what you see.
The exhibit is now open. Come on in and see it. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day.
What we have done here in the Lee House, which is arguably the oldest standing wooden structure in Oregon, is exploring the beginning of Salem's settlement. This mission, which was established in this house, became the beginnings of Salem. So what we wanted to do in our ongoing project to explain the history of Salem and the Mid-Willamette Valley is start at the beginning and look at that particular settlement which would later lead to Salem. And to do so, we have looked into several different subjects within the history of that time period, which has not been really touched on well before. The Calapuyas, how the Methodists interacted with the French who were already here, how did the Methodists interact with the Hudson Bay Company, which was already in Dominion here. How did the Methodists end up having to close this mission? There's a lot of history here and not all of it can be shared, so we've had to use other techniques to be able to share that with, including our living historians and our docents, which will continue to lead tours through and tell those stories that are so unique and such treasures. Also through interactive touch screens to be able to drill down and learn more about specific individuals, and QR codes, which will take you to websites that deal with a particular subject that we hope our exhibit will excite you to want to learn more about. This is technology that we're going to be using as we expand this mission into our other two historic homes, the Methodist Parsonage and the John Boone House, as we go forward in time and explore more aspects of Salem's history and the Mid-Willamette Valley's history.
I wish there was a juniper hanging on a tree, and every time the pretty gal plays, she takes a bite of me. Oh, what can you do? some people.